to perform a DMDX experiment, you have to create a experimental file. So which is the RTF file that you guys just opened before. Like this one. It looks like a Word document, but it is actually a RTF format. So for RTF format, you usually open a blank Word document, and then after you type all those stuff, you save as a RTF format. And that's how you get this experimental file. And remember, DMDX only read a RTF format. So after you have finished writing your script, you have to save it as RTF. So basically, you need two types of files to conduct your experiment. So the first one is what we have just talked about, the experimental item files. And then you want the stimulus. For example, you want to present a video, or if you want to present an audio file, then you have to also prepare these stimulus. And then you want to put these two types of files in the same folder. So that's why you can see when I go to the demonstration folder, I have all types of these stimulus and also these experimental file, item file in the same folder. Because when the DMDX read this RTF file, they also read in the same file for the stimulus. So you want to put all the things into the same folder for your experiment. When you are presenting a picture, you have to use only BMP. Well, you can use other type of picture format like JPEG, but it's not that well supported according to the DMDX website. And for the audio file, it must be WAV, wave format. So when you prepare your stimulus, remember to save them as this format. That will be better. And if you are presenting some word like what we have just done in Shortcast, you just type it in your experimental file. On your computer, you can try to open that experimental file. For example, you can double click maybe this one, word semantic priming, and you can have a sense like how a experimental script looks like. And yeah, that's it. So when you look at the RTF file, we divide it into two sections. The first is the header. So this is the header, and then the second one is the item line. So for the header is for designing a more general properties of your experiment, like in general the background color or the word color, something like that. And for the item line, you will write, you will individualize your trial in the item line. So anyway, header for more general properties and item for more individualized properties. So when you go back to this RTF, the first three lines here are the header, and then everything below that are the item line. As I said before, you can open the word semantic priming RTF to have a look. And then for this semantic priming experiment, that is actually a experiment for observing the semantic priming effect. For semantic priming, it means, for example, when you are asked to speak a word, for example, nurse, and if we put another word that has a similar meaning before the word nurse, you will speak the word nurse faster. Yeah, because this doctor has a similar meaning with a nurse. So when you speak nurse, you will speak faster. This is semantic priming, and that's what the semantic priming experiment is about. And for semantic priming, you can use different methods to make that prime. For example, you can present a word written as doctor, or you can find somebody to speak doctor. Yeah, it can also prime you to speak the nurse faster, and this is semantic priming. These three lines at the top are the header. You can see there are actually many components here. I hope it doesn't scare you, and we are gonna go through the header line first. And when we refer to the header line, we will first look at the beginning and also the end of the header line. So here and here, you can see EP and also EOP. So anyway, for EP and EOP, it just indicates the beginning and the end of the header line. So whenever you are writing a header line, remember to put EP at the beginning and then put EOP at the end. That's okay. And then next to EP, you can see a parameter called CR. So it just means continuous running. Basically, it means if you don't put CR in the header line, the experiment will stop after each trial. But usually you don't want to do that in your experiment, so you almost always put CR. Almost always put CR in the header line. Yeah, the next is FD and also D. So FD is frame duration. So that means how long your stimulus will be displayed in a trial in general. So you have to note that for FD, the frame duration, like the stimulus duration, the unit is in text. Text is actually around 16.67 milliseconds. So for example, FD 30, that means the frame duration is 30 times 16.67 milliseconds. So which is around 500 milliseconds. So remember, FD, the duration unit is in text, not millisecond. Don't make it wrong. And then for D, so the next parameter, D is delay. So basically it's the time between each trial, delaying time between each trial. For example, you have finished the first trial, and then the software will wait for the time that you specify in D, delay. And again, delay is in text, not millisecond. And remember, this header line is for general properties. You can still individualize the trial properties in the item lines. For example, in general, you want a frame duration of say 30 ticks, but if you want one of the trial to be 50 ticks, then you do that in the item line. T is time out. Oh, but this time remember is in millisecond, not ticks. Don't ask me why, but this is the setting. So T is millisecond, and T, time out, is actually the time that you will allow a subject to respond. For example, you want a subject to respond to your word with a keyboard, and then if that subject doesn't respond in, for example, 3000 milliseconds, that picture or the word will disappear. So this is the timeout. So this is the timeout time. And then ID is actually telling the software that what device will be used for your response. For example, you can use ID here, keyboard. That means you are telling the software that you will use keyboard as a response device. And if you want to use a mic, then you will have to put ID plus digital voice. This means a audio response will be required. So if you want to use a mic, you will need to also put ID plus digital voice. So you just put these in the header line. And you can see MNR and MPR here. So basically it refers to map negative response and map positive response. So for example, if your subject has to answer yes or no question in your experiment, if you want left arrow as a negative response and and then you want right arrow to be positive response, then you write something like this. You can also change the key. For example, if you want the negative response as A, then you just write A here. Or if you want a positive response as L, then you write L here instead of write L. And if you are not sure the code of your keyboard, you can go to DMDX to check. Because, for example, you are not it may be some other way to write left arrow. You are not sure whether there is a space. Then you can go to check. You can go to DMDX to check. So you go to DMDX and then basic test and check keyboard. I will show you very quickly here. So you go to DMDX, and then you can click keyboard here, and then you click test. Then you will see all the code of this keyboard button. So for example, if you want to use the refresh button, you can use that for your experiment. So you just type refresh here. So DBC and DWC, they all refer to color. So for DBC, BC means background color. And for WC, it means word color. And D means default. So that means by default, you want this background color and word color unless you specify again in the item 9. And also when you want to specify the color, you use number. For example, black color is 210, 210, 210. So here I write DBC 210, 210, 210. That means I want a default background color of black. You have to refer to their website for the color code. And finally, the DFS is the default font size. So how large your word is. So you can just directly type here. For example, DFS 36. That means the font size by default will be 36. Finally, this is video mode. Basically, you just specify the resolution of your monitor, and usually you just need to type this, like 1024 blah blah blah. It should be okay. You just directly copy and paste there. It should be okay. And also NFB, no feedback. Like if you don't put this there, the computer will show a feedback after every trial. And usually you don't want to do that, so you will also put NFB on your item line, header line. Let's go through it together. So we have finished the header line. We are going to the main part of the script. And for the item line, the main part, as I said before, it is where you will specify your trials, each of your trials of your experiment, and also make some individualized setting right there. And when you refer back to our RTF, you will see something like this. These are all of your trials of your experiment. You have to type all of your trials here. Specify, for example, which word you are gonna present in each trial here. You can also specify the color of each word in each trial. You can do that in the item 9 here.